Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast.
You're in the right place, the perfect place, if you're looking for a wellness check-in team whose goal is to remind you to think about wellness and encourage you to make wellness a priority. It all stems from my book, Accidentally Well.
This is episode 30.
A territorial acknowledgement improves allyship with Indigenous people. As part of a reconciliation process, we make our podcast from lands located within the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge the presence and traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land. We are treaty people, responsible to honor the original caretakers and to serve as stewards for the land.
Okay, welcome back to another day of What's on Your Mind. So John, you sent me this post that was very interesting, and it's about how to boost energy levels when coffee isn't cutting it. So I'm someone who actually doesn't drink coffee. So I thought it was very interesting, but do you want to go through and kind of talk about it?
Yeah, normally we don't read through them. In this case, there's only 7, so I'll read through them, but there's kind of something funny at the end, which is why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I pulled this one is because it's so interesting. I'm finding that I keep hearing the same messages be repeated and repeated and repeated as we talk to people about different things, including how to get energized in a natural way. So let me just read through these 7 first, and then I'll make my quick point. Number 1, try CBD to improve focus, productivity, and alleviate certain energy-draining symptoms like stress and pain. Number 2, make a goal to hydrate more intentionally during the day. Number 3, go to bed 10 minutes earlier every night until you're waking up naturally, feeling well-rested during the day, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Number 4, do a quick workout to increase circulation and release feel-good hormones. In other words, move that body.
Yes.
Number 5, get sunlight by going outdoors or using a light therapy lamp. Number 6, reduce stress by scheduling and taking regular breaks. And number 7, of course, a big one, eat a balanced diet of healthy fats, proteins, and carbohydrates from the earth. And this I got off an Instagram feed from @TheEveryGirl, which I just happened to come across. Mm-hmm. And so what I thought was funny was I said to you, hey, I wouldn't mind going over some of these things, but let's just not mention CBD. And you said...
I said, what the heck? We should talk about CBD. Because...
So what's up?
Yeah, okay. So CBD, I think, has a negative idea around it because obviously it comes from marijuana.
Yeah, so can you just tell me what it is first?
Yeah, so CBD is an oil that they're able to extract from the marijuana plant. So there's 2 sides of it. There's the CBD and then there's THC. So CBD is the side of it that does target the, stress, anxiety. It kind of gets those calming sense, I guess, over your body versus THC is the side of the plant that
more hallucinogenic.
Exactly. Yes. So the CBD doesn't provide that at all.
Can I interrupt you for a sec? It's just fascinating because actually I had a law case at one point. I can't obviously talk about specifics, but the generality was there was somebody in Europe who had spent years, maybe even decades,
right?
Just like other people mix different kind of plants to create new kind of plants. So, different kind of daylilies with different colors. Yeah. He's been working with marijuana for years and decades. And one of the things he told me that he was working on, and so he has, hundreds of different seeds. Yeah. And he would be working on trying to create some that have really no THC, or some with no hallucinogenic effects, some that only target pain, some that only target something else. So it's pretty fascinating.
It's really fascinating. And you can get it in so many different ways, whether that's a tea. I have an essential oil that I either put under my tongue to reduce stress or I rub on my temples if I have a headache. I used to get eyelash extensions, and the girl I went to, she had a CBD patch and she would put it on her lower back because she's crouching over every day and her back would hurt. And she said it did wonders. And again, you don't get that hallucination side of it, and it more just targets those feelings of stress relief, pain relief. And I think there is a reason why it is used for cases in cancer too, right? It is prescribed as medical marijuana, and that's the CBD working because it helps your body.
Okay, and just saying that, look, we're not telling anyone to use CBD. We're not doctors. We don't know. If you're interested at all, learn more about it and talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. But you can talk about how it works with you.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So I love it. And I just know that, when I bring up CBD, I'll be like, you should try CBD oil. And people just give me like a judgment face. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'd give you a judgment face.
Just
I'd be thinking, well, that's good for you.
Yeah.
There's this I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. There's this idea around it, but that it's bad, but it's really great for you. And, if you want to give it a try, give it a try. Up to you. I love it. I think it really helps my own anxiety and stress, and just having, putting a couple drops under my tongue before I go to bed helps me with sleep. I thought that was really interesting that was on there.
So I have to alleviate my judgment.
Yeah, alleviate your judgment.
If I hear that and I hear something good about it, then I should ask questions and find out more about it.
Yeah, there's lots of great things about it.
Okay, so I guess we can talk about it after all.
Yes, I think so.
All right. Obviously, hydrating is a really important thing to do. That's number 2 on the list, and we don't need to spend much time on it. Just, I heard someone the other day just say something like, imagine a plant, and look at your plant when it doesn't have enough water. It's not doing very well, and that's the same with you.
Yes, so. I agree. I was actually at the gym, and I got like kind of not like a physical done, but they basically look at you and see what spots you need to work on. And I think I'm a very hydrated person because that's pretty much all I drink all day. And they're like, you're dehydrated. I was like,
no
what?
way.
I know.
How can they tell?
There was this machine where you hold it and it basically does a whole scan of your body. And it can tell through that what muscle is more strong and, where you're dehydrated. And I should be drinking like up to, I think it was like 3.5 liters of water. And he said you would want to push it to 4. But I thought I was a very hydrated person.
Wow, that surprised
shocked.
me. Yeah, because I try and drink at least a liter in the morning and a liter in the afternoon. It sounds like I need to drink more than that.
Yeah. Okay. It's crazy how much water you should be drinking.
I will try. I do really find, like, for anyone interested in weight loss, I don't know why. I just know from my experience, if I can be drinking lots and lots of water, I don't eat as much and I lose weight.
Definitely.
So it works.
I agree.
But this next one, number 3, I think is really fascinating. So sleep, I think, is super underestimated in all kinds of ways. I mentioned earlier on another episode, a 2-part series I heard on a different podcast on Marathon Talk about how if you don't get enough sleep, it affects every single thing that you do. And so you need your sleep. And what I really like about this idea is we're all different.
Yeah.
So this idea is go to bed 10 minutes earlier. And if you're not waking up alert and when you want to wake up, the next day, try 10 minutes earlier than that.
Yeah.
And keep going till you find your rhythm.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting because I've never thought of that. I have on iPhone, you can kind of set your sleep schedule. So half an hour before I'm supposed to go to sleep, it will start powering down and it will stop sending notifications, because something I have trouble with is that I'll go lay in bed and then I'll be scrolling.
Right.
So without getting the notifications, I can kind of put my phone away and fall asleep a little bit easier. So yeah, I definitely want to try that because I'm definitely tired when I wake up.
And I did read somewhere else or hear on a different podcast, I'm sorry I can't identify where it was, but it's really important to avoid blue light in your bedroom as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so for sure, screens, any kind of computer screens, if you can just not look at anything for a half an hour or more before you go to bed, and even avoid certain type of kind of blue lights in your bedroom.
Right.
All of those things, for whatever reason, make it a little harder to fall asleep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I know too, with concussions, how important it is to avoid screen time and TVs and all that stuff. So there must be some connection.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of we don't really need to talk much about Fort. The whole show is about move your body, incorporate exercise in your daily life. When you're tired, going for a run is probably, it's counterintuitive. You're like, I'm too tired to run or too tired to work out.
Yeah. And you get there.
You work out and you're like, geez, I feel amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So just do it. But sunlight, that's a really interesting one too. I think that's true. Like I do find sun very energizing. Yeah.
So with the light therapy lamp, when I used to work in an office and, there were some people that didn't really have any windows, they had these light therapy lamps.
Well, what is it? I don't even know what it is.
It's basically, it's this little lamp that sits like wherever you want on your desk, and it radiates like the same sort of light that the sun would give you.
Okay.
So it gives you that same sort of energy, which is really cool. And something else that David's actually told me, don't know the study, he read it in, but when you wake up in the morning, you're actually not supposed to put sunglasses on right away, because the rays from the light like helps you wake up and it energizes you. So now until it's like 11, I try to keep my sunglasses off to wake me up.
Okay, well, try this as well. So you don't, in Canada, you can only do this in the summer.
Right.
But somebody else said what they like to do is with bare feet,
Yeah.
just go outside with bare feet for a minute. It doesn't have to be on grass.
Yeah.
Your feet touch the earth. It sounds similar to that point about the sunglasses. There's some connection gets
Energy.
made first thing in the morning.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
So then I don't think we need much time on the last two. Reduce stress by scheduling and taking regular breaks. Yeah, that's common sense and something that should help.
Yeah. Some people, though, might not be, because scheduling can be difficult. So if you're not a scheduler, it might help
I guess
you.
I'm saying that because I'm such
You're
a
a
scheduler.
schedule
I'm such a
person.
to-do list person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then lastly, you just can't underestimate a balanced diet too.
Definitely.
Hand in hand with getting hydrated. And again, the message I keep singing, what worked for me, is eat real food. Real food from the earth.
Yeah.
It's the best way to go, and try not to eat stuff out of boxes.
Yeah. I definitely need to be better at that, because I can be lazy.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it takes more time for real food.
Yeah, for sure.
But
you
it's
have to
much-
have it, and you have to have the, creativity to make it and decide what you want to do. Versus, soup is just right there. You just put it in the pot.
To a degree, though, like, I think you're talking about meals.
Yes, I am.
One thing you can switch over in terms of snacking, though, there's lots of snacks that aren't that much harder as long as you have them in the fridge or have them handy. So, okay, so how to boost your energy level when coffee's not cutting it. Though hopefully those are some ideas, and hopefully some of them work for you.
Yeah.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds.
Today's interview is in the area of financial wellness, and we welcome back regular guest Jill Melanson. It's part 2 of a discussion we started some weeks back about financial planning concepts. Jill Melanson is a licensed mortgage agent who works with Canadian mortgage brokerage Invis. Jill helps clients make informed choices, and she's there after mortgage closes, providing tips and strategies to build long-term wealth. Jill previously worked at TD Canada Trust and at RBC as a financial advisor. She completed her Canadian Securities course, among other investment courses, and as we've mentioned a couple times, Jill's been married for 10 years and has 2 beautiful kids. And we emphasized last time you were here that we are not providing financial advice on our show. We're not licensed financial planners. We want our listeners to be safe when working towards wellness by getting financial advice from a qualified person. And we're not giving that advice. We're saying, hey, people, this is important. You should think about these concepts, and it's worth talking to someone who can help you. And anyone in financial planning will tell you that they cannot give general advice. They'll need to talk to you, for example, about your specific circumstances and your risk appetite. So our chat is about general concepts. So welcome back, Jill.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me again.
So Jill, the last time you were here, we talked about general concepts and approaches to saving. And you said that a related topic includes different vehicles for saving and different types of accounts, and about options like cash and equities and bonds. So I'm hoping to chat about that today.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so vehicle. What are we talking about when we're talking about picking a vehicle?
So a vehicle is the type of registration of the account. If you have a basic savings account, it's considered a non-registered account. And then the registered accounts, or the most obvious registered accounts, are the RRSP, the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and the TFSA, the tax-free savings account.
Okay, so can we start by just kind of generally describing what is the TFSA, the tax-free savings account? How does it work?
Yeah, so the tax-free account is an account that you can put your money into that grows tax-free. If you were to put $10,000 into a TFSA and earn a great return of, say, $1,000 at the end of the year, that money is tax sheltered. You don't owe any of it back to the government. If you were to put that same $1,000 into a non-registered account and earn the same return, you would owe, depending on the type of gain you've earned, whether it's a capital gain or a dividend or interest, you would then have to include that as on your income taxes.
Okay, now another important distinction there is, can you explain, I think we're putting in after-tax dollars into that account as opposed to using it to reduce your tax liability that year.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with your income taxes in that way. So any money going out comes out the same amount. So it doesn't help your income tax in the point of like an RSP does. It's just money that you get to put in savings, and the benefit is that it grows tax-free.
Okay, so it's after tax dollars. You've already paid your income tax on it. You put that in, and then whatever you make in there, it earns money on a tax-free basis.
Exactly.
Is there a limit to how much I can put into a TFSA?
Yes. So to start off, you have to wait until you're 18. Then as of the year you turn 18, the government has fluctuated the amount. It started off as $5,000 per year. It's been $5,500 a year. 1 year, it was actually $10,000. And this year it's $6,000. So if you were 18 in 2022, you can put in your first $6,000 this year.
Now, I just happen to know by coincidence, I recently registered for an online account with the Canada Revenue Agency, so I can access my information online. And one of the nice things about that is it actually shows me how much TFSA space and how much RRSP space I have. So, and obviously it's something you'd want to talk to your financial planner about. They would be able to tell you exactly how much space you have.
Yes and no. The banks actually won't take responsibility for telling you how much you can put in because the limits fluctuate based on, so if you put money into a tax-free account and then you take money out in the same year, you can't recontribute until the following year. So that CRA account is definitely a good tool to have handy for everybody, for RSP limits, tax limits, all those types of things.
And the other question about the limit. So does the limit to the TFSA, does it depend on how much money you make, or is it the same for everybody?
It is the same for everybody. So based on age only, but no, it's the same for everybody.
Okay, great.
If you're 30 and you're just learning about the tax-free account, you can go back as far as 2009 when the account was open. As of that year, you can make up for any past contributions that you haven't taken advantage of. But yep, no, it's the same for everybody.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Registered Retirement Savings Plans, the RRSP. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
So the RSP, the benefit of the RSP is that everything's tax deferred in that account. So if you make $50,000 a year and you put $10,000 into an RSP that year, you're now lowering your income down to $40,000. So it's a straight off the top reduction of income.
When you mean lowering your income, you mean for tax purposes, right?
Tax purposes, yes. Sorry.
You still get the money, but you pay less taxes.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're lowering your income for tax purposes. So all year you've paid your taxes based on your $50,000 income. But then when you submit your tax return and you submit your slip saying that you put $10,000 into your RSP, you've now lowered your taxable income to $40,000. So you're going to get a return back from the government based on that contribution you've made to your RSP.
So the nice thing about that is you have the $10,000 off to the side, and presumably it's going to earn money. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, because you put that off to the side, you're going to pay less income tax, which means you get another small chunk of that $10,000 to do with what you wish.
Exactly. It's a win-win. However, what happens down the line is the exact opposite. It's going to happen when you're ideally retired and your income is now lower. So it would work the exact opposite way. So while you started off making $50,000, at the end of your career, you're making $100,000, and then into your retirement, your income's now down to $60,000. You're going to start pulling money out of your RSPs to contribute to your monthly income or annual income or however you want to take the money out. And it's going to come out the exact same way. So if you take out $10,000 a year, you're going to pay taxes on that $10,000 you take out every year.
But the important thing there is for a lot of people, so they're going to have, so the way that taxes work in Canada, the more money you make, the higher percentage of taxes you pay. And like you said, when you retire, you probably significantly reduce your income, which also means you're paying a lower percentage. So even though you're paying income tax on the dollars you take out, it's probably at a lower rate than you would have paid if you hadn't shifted that money into the RRSP while you were working. Does that make sense?
Exactly. It's a lifelong strategy to make sure that you're getting the benefit of tax reduction in your higher earning years.
Okay, so now let's focus on a different side of it, which is you said, okay, you take that $10,000 and you shift it into this account. You will pay taxes when you take it out. But what about as that $10,000 grows over the decades? Are you paying taxes on the increase in the amount?
No, so that's all tax sheltered. Just like your tax-free account, anything you earn within that investment is all tax sheltered. So until you actually start withdrawing. So if you've had a really good return on, hopefully over the many years you've been saving for your retirement, you've got a really good return on your investment. You're not earning any, or you're not paying anything for that. It's just going to help it grow, and then you'll have more to pull out into your retirement.
Perfect. So then now we've talked a little bit about vehicles. So we're thinking of those as kind of the holding tanks of where the investments go.
Yes.
And we don't have a ton of time, so we can just talk an overview, but what are the types of things you can put into those holding tanks? And in particular, can you tell me a little bit about the difference between cash and equities and bonds? What are they? And how do you what's the risk associated with them?
So yes, those are the three types of investments. But what I really want to touch on briefly is what a mutual fund is.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Fund is actually made up of cash, equities, and fixed income. So people hear mutual fund and they think it's a different type of investment, but it really is just an amalgamation of all of those. And the way it works is they're always going to have a very small portion of cash involved. It's going to have a portion of fixed income and a portion of equity. And then what happens is, based on your risk tolerance, it's going to have either more fixed income or more equity to suit your investment strategy. So if you were, again, going back to the RSPs, if you were looking at putting money in an RSP, you're likely to have more equity in it, less fixed income. Whereas if you were saving perhaps 5 years down the road for your first home, you would have maybe less equity and more fixed income in your profile in the actual mutual fund.
Yeah, I know, it's a great point, because I'd forgotten about that. I actually like looking when I get a mutual fund. I kind of like to look and see, because there's usually a prospectus or something that you can look at to see how they make it up. And it's really interesting. So, my read on that is, let's say you wanted to, some of them are industry based in oil or whatever, but let's say you wanted to buy some shares of these big companies. Well, you can't buy like an 80th of one share and a 90th of another, but you can buy a unit of a mutual fund that pools all these things. So it's a way that you, as kind of a smaller investor, can get a piece of a whole bunch of different stocks, even though you can't afford any one share of them. So I know I'm not saying it absolutely correctly, but that's kind of the feel I get for it.
That is perfect. It goes back to the comment too about how do the little people get in, right? So it's a great vehicle to get the little people in.
And the other thing I would suggest to people ask their financial planner about is indexed mutual funds, because most mutual funds have a management fee. It's a percentage, and so that eats a little bit away from it. Still worth it if it's a good mutual fund, but there's some index funds that have, all they do is they track the same, they buy the same stocks that are part of the TSE or whatever it happens to be. And they often have low management fees, which is something to ask your financial planner about. Okay, so that's great. So then I should have asked you about that, but let's go back to cash.
So cash is cash. So again, it could be the money sitting in your bank account. Anything that has no risk, zero risk associated with it would be considered cash. The next would be fixed income.
Can I stop on that though, Jill?
Yeah.
So like if I decide, I want to put 5,000 and I just want it to be cash sitting in the account, there might be some small interest rate associated with the TFSA account or the RRSP account, but that's the only increase that you could get, that small amount that's kind of guaranteed.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to be a bare minimum amount, but yes, that would be the only change in dollar value.
But if we talk a little bit about stocks and bonds, they'll increase in value and, at kind of different rates and risk levels.
Exactly. It's going to have more volatility involved with it. So the equities, also known as stocks, or more commonly, I guess, heard of as stocks. An equity or stock is an ownership in the business itself. So you're buying a TD stock or a Walmart stock. You have a small stake in the actual company as it earns money over time. They also pay dividends. When they pay out a dividend, you can either have the dividend reinvested, you can have it paid directly into your account. So that's another option when it comes to equity investing.
I just want to explain what I understand about dividends. So first of all, not all stocks pay dividends, right?
No.
So you have to figure out what stocks pay dividends. Another question for your financial planner. And then, so if I have 100 shares of Xco and they're worth $1, and then next year they're worth $1.25, they increase in value by that 25 cents. But a dividend is on regular bases, whether it's quarterly or annually or whatever it is. They say for every share that you have, you get 10 cents.
Exactly.
So that's in addition to the increase in value of the share.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've always had a bit of an issue trying to understand what bonds are, and people also call them fixed income. Can you tell me a little bit about bonds, fixed income?
Yeah, so bonds are essentially a loan. It's a loan that is given out to a government or, again, a big company. The amount they're going to give you is that piece of paper that everybody has in their mind of what a bond looks like. They're going to sell it to you for this amount, and then at the end of a certain term, they're going to expect that plus a certain amount back at the end of the term. So there's a little less risk involved with these because they're actually loans to, again, governments or big companies, things like that.
So again, trying to make it into kind of plain English. So somebody like the government of Canada wants to raise, $10 billion or whatever it is. They say, okay, we're going to have this offering. We're going to get $10 billion of money is going to be given to us by whoever wants to get in on this. And, they don't actually come to you, Jill, or to me, John, and say, do you want to be part of this loan? But they put this mechanism in place, and you and I can say, hey, we want to be part of that. And we can buy a little piece of paper, one piece of that paper, and say, we'll give you $2,000 of that $10 billion. And I get a certain guaranteed interest rate from that.
Exactly.
And the other important thing from, what I've seen over time is that if it's a government of Canada, if it's the US government, if it's a really well-known company, then I have a good sense that I'm probably going to get paid that back. If it's an upstart business, like in the tech world, and that's a much riskier loan to make because you don't know if they're going to pay it back. So there's even different risk levels associated with bonds depending on who's using the money.
Exactly. So that they refer to that as default risk depending on where you're investing the money. The other part of fixed income, it would be interest rate risk. So with interest rates going up, if you set this instrument at a certain price point and that the interest rates go up, then it may lose its value at that point. So without getting
right. So let's say
the nitty gritty.
Yeah, like right now, interest rates in this day and age are going up pretty fast. So let's say 2 years ago, somebody offered a bond at a 0.75% interest rate. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the best I can do. And I'm locked in for, say, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. And meanwhile, now the interest rates have gone so high that the bank is offering a better interest rate than that. So it's like, oh, shoot.
And you're stuck with that. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So that's the other risk. All right. So then that's a good help in understanding the vehicles and what goes into them. And then the big question I think a lot of people often ask is, what do you put your money into first, a TFSA or an RRSP? And I think like when I started out, first of all, they didn't have TFSAs. And so, you always had the conversation about RRSPs. I'm hearing through the grapevine more people recommending starting with TFSAs, but what are some of the things we should think about?
So that's definitely, there's more flexibility with the TFSA. So you can put the money in, take it out anytime and all of those things. So for that reason, and because you can tax shelter your money, you can buy a mutual fund, you can specifically buy equities or whatever. All of those things are available in both TFSAs and RSPs. So that's becoming, like you said, more popular. However, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Depending on your savings budget, I always recommend to somebody to check with their employer and see what kind of free money they can get from their employer. So by that, I mean, are they going to do an RSP matching contribution, or do they have a pension set up? Do they have buying into the company or a share option available that way? So you want to make sure you're primarily taking advantage of that, especially if they're going to match any sort of contribution, because you don't want to say no to free money.
One of my kids had an option at one of his jobs where they would match an RRSP payment up to a certain amount. And so, yeah, that was great. It was, I think, I can't remember, it was like $2,500 a year, whatever it happened to be. That's just free money. So yeah, you're right. You should be thinking about that. Right,
for sure. Exactly. So, but then when it comes down to it, really, the other things to consider is, again, how high is your income? Because would it be more beneficial to put it into the RSP and get that tax savings at the end of the year? And then you take that perhaps tax savings, you put that into the tax-free savings account, right? So there's a lot of strategies. So you want to talk to your financial planner. Perhaps your accountant would be another great person to go to figure out where it makes most sense. But if we're talking specifically to people starting up out of school, starting with maybe perhaps a lower income, then I would say a tax-free account is definitely a good starting point.
Well, I love that idea of also talking to your accountant, especially, it's interesting because the way I don't know for sure how this works, but I think in Canada, there's a certain level, like if you make X amount, you pay Y%. But if you make $1 more than that, you pay a much higher percent. So if you just happen to be straddling that line, and you can reduce your total percentage by putting, $10,000 into the RRSP, I could see how that would make great sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So again, to keep singing the same song, you should be talking to your accountant, which means you should have one. And you should be talking to your financial planner, which means you should have one. So go out there and try and find someone to help you. So, whoa, we're over time, but this has been so interesting. I'm not going to cut anything out. I'm going to leave it all in. But as you know, Jill, from another time you were here, we ask every guest the same question based on different areas of wellness. And it's essentially a mini wellness check-in that we ask every guest. So here we go. Are you currently neglecting an area of wellness that's important to you? And if so, what is one thing you can do to foster wellness in that area?
I would say maybe my mental wellness. Just maybe taking some more time to sit back and breathe a little and soak it in, whether it's, I haven't picked up a book in quite some time and read for my own personal, just doing that. So maybe picking up a book would be helpful, take my mind off everything and whether it's work or the kids or whatever the case is, I think that would be that's definitely an area that I need to focus on.
Well, you're at that time of your life where lots of kids' activities, work is busy. Even if it's vacation season, you're trying to figure all that out and get it done. Yeah. So I get that. And I hope that you can find a way to slow things down a bit.
Yes.
It's probably one of the greatest challenges that we all have. So I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, you've come back and done 2 more interviews. I'm so happy and thankful. Thanks so much, Jill. And we'll see you hopefully again sometime.
Sounds great. Thanks, John.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of the Adventures of the Starving Artist. This week, I fell in love with Spanish. Now, I speak almost no Spanish. I know the key words: hola, gracias, de nada, cerveza, the important ones. But aside from that, I really do speak almost none. And that's okay. I was rewatching Breaking Bad, and I had to pause one of the episodes because this song came on that caught my ear immediately. It opens with this enormous James Bond-esque horn section, and then suddenly dives into this chill, laid-back groove. And she starts saying, 1970, and it caught my ear so fast. Oh my gosh. I had to Google Translate it, which is sad. I'm sure some of you are laughing at that. But I did, and she was saying, and again, I'm sure some of you got this, 1970. The song's called 1977 by Anna Tijoux. That's ANATIJOUX. And it's so groovy. I downloaded it, saved it to my phone on Spotify. It's been in my rotation ever since I heard it the first time, so just over a week. Every time I'm in the car, it comes on at least once a day. I really, really like it. And then, like I said, I checked out the translation of the lyrics, and it's cool. But I didn't bother to memorize what it means because what I like about it is just the sound of the language. English, I kind of think of it in the middle in terms of how languages go. There are other languages that can be quite harsh and abrupt sounding. German is in there. Mandarin can have that effect on the ear. It's all the syllable stresses, Whereas something like Italian or Spanish, they flow. It's got this liquid movement to it. I really enjoy it. it's inspired me to maybe check out something like Duolingo or Rosetta Stone or something like that and maybe try and learn a little bit. Why not, right? Spanish. I fell in love with it. That's what I got for you today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Cameron. This is The Starving Artist. Until next time.
We love our listeners, and it's great that you could join us. We could use your help. How? Listen to our episodes, subscribe to us, and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram at lets.be.well.together. And make sure you tell your friends about us.
Move that body like we're meant to do. Hi, everyone. It's Sheila and John here. I came across this article. It read the 5 best exercises you could ever do. And I found it quite interesting, so I wanted to share.
Initially, I thought, well, that's just one person's opinion of the 5 best exercises. And then I thought, well, why don't we come every time we see an article of people saying these are my 3 favorites or 5 favorites or 10 favorites, why don't we talk about it? Because who knows, maybe for a whole bunch of people, these are the 5 best.
Yeah, and some of them we haven't talked about.
True. And maybe someday, after we read through a lot of these, maybe we can come up with Sheila's 5 best exercises you could ever do.
Yeah, because I already have my 5, I think.
So just to place it, I did an internet search. And if you want to find it online, it's Harvard Health Publishing, 5 of the best exercises you can ever do. It was published July 7th, 2020 by Dr. I-Min Lee. So Dr. Lee.
So the number 1 is swimming. So they say that swimming is one of the best exercises.
I can imagine that. It's just so comprehensive.
Yeah, because it's the buoyancy of the water that supports your body and takes the stress off the pains of the joints and that kind of stuff.
Which makes a big difference.
It does. And it's hard. Like you've got to push and work hard to move.
But if you can also be doing that in a scenario where you're decreasing the propensity to get injured.
Exactly.
Decreasing the stress in your body, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I agree. Swimming is awesome. Okay, next, number 2 is Tai Chi, the Chinese martial art that combines movement and relaxation.
So I did take martial arts at one time in my life, and I think martial arts are amazing. My sense is that Tai Chi isn't something you dabble in, that you actually have to learn it over time, that there's a series of movements and it's almost like a dance.
It is. Yes, that's
So
exactly it.
I can imagine that it's both kind of psychic satisfaction and physical satisfaction and calming and meditative. You know what it reminds me of too? I bet you. So I remember when you and Lori did a Move That Body on 26 and 2 yoga.
Right.
Lori at one point pointed out that by the time you're done, you've used every muscle and every joint in your body. I bet you if you go through the Tai Chi routine, it's the same.
You've used every muscle in your body. Yeah, probably. So I did dabble in it a little bit in my life. So, and I liked it, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind. So I think I would like to learn and get into it more. So
it's an investment of time though. I think you really do have to decide, you know what, for a certain number of months, I'm going to do it because that's probably what it takes to get in the comfort zone.
yeah.
So what's number 3?
Number 3 is strength training.
Yeah, strength training, so critical. When I started my journey, aerobics first, some core. I had done strength training in the past at times, but there have been a few times in the last few years. I can't say it's been continual, but there have been a few times where I've done steady, regular strength training. Man, does it make me feel amazing.
Yeah, it really does. It makes you feel tighter. Like it makes your muscles feel tighter and stronger. So
definitely stronger. And I just overall feel better. I've been struggling lately, just can't seem to turn the corner and get my act together on adding in the core and the strength.
right.
But the more I think about how good that feels,
You're going to
I'm
get into
incentivized.
it. Excellent. Okay, so we are on number 4 now. Number 4 is walking.
the favorite of John, Sheila, and Julie.
Yeah, so walking is simple yet powerful. It can help you stay trim, improve cholesterol levels, strengthen bones, keep your blood pressure in check. So
A lot of people, when they see me, hear me talk about my journey, or they say they're listening to the podcast, or they looked at my book, or whatever it is, they always say, yeah, I can't run. And, maybe it's a knee problem, maybe it's some other injury. I say, can you walk? And almost everybody can walk. And my thinking is, if you don't do anything else, you know this because I've said it probably 10 times on the podcast so far. If you don't do anything else, walking is an amazing, terrific thing that you can do, whether it's just starting off your journey or something that's going to be your everyday thing for the rest of your life.
For sure. Yeah, walking is awesome. And the 5th best exercise you can do is Kegel exercises.
Yeah, and I'm like, huh? Like, do we really want to talk about Kegel exercises? But in any event, this article too is in large part written by a woman for women too. So what's the angle there?
Kegels are for both.
I agree.
Yeah, not just for women, but these exercises help you look better. They also do something very important. They strengthen the pubic floor muscles that support the bladder. So this really helps when you're getting older.
We were talking about this. I'm saying, do we really have to talk about Kegel exercises? Because I'm such a nerd. And you did point out that there's something very important, which was, I think what you said was, according to this article, if you wait too long and you lose the strength in those muscles.
Yeah, they do not come back.
So you start to, wet yourself a little bit here and there. You can't then start doing Kegels and fix it.
Right.
But if you do Kegels continually, hopefully you keep the strength and you don't get that problem.
And the great thing about Kegels is you can do them while you're driving, while you're sitting at your desk, while you're watching TV. It's not something that you need to do, make time for. Right. You can fit it right in while you're eating your meal. You just have to remember to do them.
Right. And since this is a G-rated show, we won't mention that they have other benefits as well.
Yeah. There we are.
There's a thought. Popped up while running. Today's pop-up was a biking pop-up. I was biking to work, and I realized something really critical about this theory I'm working on that I'd never really turned my mind to before. And it's that there's nourishment lurking unseen, but available for the taking to nourish our categories of wellness. To give perspective, what I've been talking about a lot in terms of my theory is that if we can identify the categories of wellness that are important to us and then figure out the activities that nourish each of those categories, actually have, for me, because I'm a kind of a writing down to-do list type person, I like to see them. What are the activities that foster wellness? Other people work more intuitively or they just know them in their head, but however you work, you're trying to figure out what activities nourish wellness. And then my thinking so far has always been in kind of one side of the coin, which is if I'm feeling off, try and figure out what activities I'm missing out on, because that might be something that I can do to get myself to right the ship, to feel better, to get back on track. It just occurred to me today, and I'm pretty sure this was in my subconscious and I knew that it was a good thing, but I didn't actually verbalize it to myself until today. There's this other huge advantage, which is if I'm doing a bit of a check-in and I'm actually looking at or thinking about the activities that foster wellness, and for me, it's 8 areas of wellness, I'm going to see that I'm focused on one thing maybe I'm missing. I'm focused on one bad thing that's happened or 2 bad things that have happened. And all this great stuff is going on in my life because I'm going through the list and saying, no, yeah, I'm doing that. Yes, I'm seeing my friends. Yes, I've got this other good stuff going on. And I'm going to, hopefully that helps make me realize it's not as bad as I think. Because really I've got all this other stuff supporting and shielding me. Maybe that dulls the pain a bit. Maybe that helps me get through the moment a bit. Maybe it takes the sharpness of whatever's going wrong away. So the wellness check-in has more than one side. You can see what's missing, but you can also see what you've got, how rich your life is.
It's me. Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
Sheila made a really good point the other day when I was talking to her about running, which she finds boring, but this time it worked out. I read something, and essentially it said, if you're curious about how to run properly, one good way to do it is just go to a park, just go to a school, watch kids run.
Yeah.
Maybe not go to a school. That might look weird. But if you're at a park, just watch kids run. They just naturally know what to do.
They pick up their feet and they're running freely. And yeah.
It's nature taking over. But somehow, especially like someone like me, I completely unlearned it, I guess, because when I started running, terrible technique. And to this day, I still can't really do it naturally. I have to do the best I can. And that sprigs something to Sheila.
Yeah, because I had this experience teaching little kids. They're very creative, and their movement and their thoughts and it's very lively to them. And we take that out of them as they grow up. So then when you're teaching 8-year-olds to teenagers or even adults, they lose that creativity and the realization, like just the reality of their movements. Like, I'm a tree. Like, kids actually believe that they're trees or birds or cats, and they like really get into it. And it's really interesting to watch little kids play.
And then that made me think of something else I thought was kind of a teacher lamenting, saying, if you talk to kindergarten kids, they ask amazing questions. Where does this come from? How does that happen? Like, this was a person who was in physics. And he says, how does the moon work? And all, they just ask question after question. By the time you're in grade 10, nothing.
Yeah.
No questions.
Yeah, it's totally regimented and organized. And
I think that's what you're saying about creativity too. Kids are very creative. And then as kids get older, would you like to try something creative? Or
they're not sure. Tell me how to do this. Tell me, don't ask me to create something. Just tell me what to do. Yeah, they're very much like that. And it's really sad.
And there's obviously exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, it's almost like our world, it's almost like our society kind of beats the naturalness out of us, beats the creativity out of us.
Yeah, and
until we're kind of like reluctant to do that stuff.
Yeah, it's sad because now that kindergarten's full time and JK is full time, kids are getting into the system sooner, right? So they don't have that young creative playtime and exploration. And
although I don't know, like actually when it comes to actual school these days, I don't know, like maybe this is a lesson that schools have learned, and maybe there is more creativity in kindergarten. And
maybe it's getting better. It wasn't.
No.
But
anyway, we're not the philosophers here. We don't have the answers to the questions. No. We're just poets who notice something and are saying it and kind of saying, gee, I wish it wasn't like that.
Well, have you ever seen, I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook or whatever, but there's these professional dancers or actors or whatever, and they have a kid teaching them how to dance.
No.
Okay. So
I should look
there's
at
a child, and the professional actors or dancers have to imitate them. So they come in and there's a teacher, and it's really funny.
Oh yeah.
Watching them move around like a child. So I think generally it's a really good idea for us to look at a child and do what they do or ask them questions, and the answers are not only interesting and creative, they're very honest.
And it affects our outlook too. This kind of ties into something Sammy and I talked about one time, which is we were talking about the vacation frame of mind. Mm-hmm. And how if you watch a kid in a park, they're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That kind of gets beat out of us too. Yeah. So, especially when it comes to things like TV. Now, what does it take on TV to really shock you now? I mean, it's crazy. We're so desensitized to everything.
Or even just your general routine.
Yeah.
Like biking to, whatever you're doing, and seeing the sun come up and just the nature outside. You just are so used to it that you just gloss over it. It's really nice to look at it and look at the birds and look at the worms and the flowers.
Somehow we have to stop unlearning. Mm-hmm. But for all those of us who've already unlearned, we got to figure out how to learn.
Yeah.
Or at least pay attention a little in a different way.
Just a little bit at a time.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
Hey, it's sign-off time, and it's John here with Sammy and Sheila.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Sammy, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sounds good. So work-wise, it's been a pretty quiet week, which is really nice. I get to get caught up on all my work and just kind of have a little bit of a relaxing time, which is needed. And then I've been painting my house. So we're in the painting stage. Our kitchen has been installed, partly just the cupboards and everything like that. So that's very exciting. So now we're starting to paint, and it feels more like our home now.
Oh, that's exciting. Except it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Dirty work, too.
Yeah. I got paint all over my hands. So, yeah. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun and it's a very exciting step because it's been feeling just like a project right now, but now it's starting to feel like, okay, it's real, it's happening. So that's very exciting. Yeah. How about you, John?
Well, first of all, with your place, I saw some pictures of you painting. And I said to Sheila afterward, I said, it's just so amazing because thinking back in our experiences, you appreciate the house so much more when you do that. Like, so you'll be sitting on your couch, and you'll look around, you'll be like, I did this. It just makes it feel that much better.
Definitely, yeah.
I had a really busy week at work last week. It was unexpected though. Like each day started the same. I'm like, okay, I have a manageable amount of work to do today. Should be good. It's summertime, looking nice. And then boom, bam, boom. And by the time the day was done, I was like, wow, that was busy. And it happened every day. So I'm expecting that again this week. I'm pretty excited. We just got tickets for the upcoming Rusty Nail Comedy Festival that's coming September 14th, 15, 16, 17, I think. That's a Wednesday to Saturday. And we'll be at one of the Crazy Canuck shows, so that's going to be exciting.
Very fun.
Sheila's going to love when I tell her that I'm pretty excited that I just ordered my running shoes for my marathon.
Oh my God.
Well, I
Another pair, right?
I had to because the ones I have will be out of juice by the time it's the marathon. And I have to get used to them before. So yeah, I knew you'd be excited about that. And the last thing is on Friday, we're going to see some friends we haven't seen in a while. And we're actually going to go to their house, which is pretty cool. So I'm really excited about that. How about you, Sheila?
Yeah, we've got a lot of social events coming up. Well, a few things. We didn't do too much last week because we were busy the week before, but I worked a lot and I'm not used to working a lot, like kind of semi-retired. So this working full-time thing,
it's tough. It's tough.
Especially because now we actually picked up some paint for Sammy. And and so there was a couple pails. So we stopped by Sheila's place and I picked up these 2 pails that she picks up every day and they're bloody heavy. Really heavy.
Yeah. But anyway, so I did that. But a few things I just wanted to say that we did go to an Indigenous show, which was in Binghamton's in Kitchener. And that was really nice, an art show. So we had a good time doing that. And we went down to the Egyptian festival, which is I think it's the first time they've done that.
I don't think it was just Egyptian. I think it was like there was different places.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So we did that too. And it was nice to do things in Kitchener, Waterloo that are so multicultural. So that was a lot of fun. And also, I just wanted to comment on things that I like to use my mind. How do I like to use my mind? I like to play games, I think.
Okay, but just for context, this is because last week, when we did What's on Your Mind, it was about things that foster intellectual wellness.
Exactly.
And you can come and do a whole What's on Your Mind about that if you want.
Right. I can do it. But I was like, I want to put my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
So I like to play like Sudoku and just games like that. You know, how it's like, oh, what's your age? Those type of games. I really love that challenge. And I really like arguing with John because that really gets me working my mind.
And it teaches you to lose.
I have a game that I think you guys would both like very much.
But I love playing games.
So I don't want to say the name of it because it has a bad word in it. So, but I'll tell you after the show. Okay. Yeah.
But we are having our family over, like our siblings and John's brother and stuff on Sunday. So I was thinking of playing spoons.
Classic.
So
I don't even know what it is.
John has never played spoons.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think we're going to do that on Sunday. So we'll let you know how that goes.
Okay, well, another great week. I hope you liked the episode, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
See ya.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.